Pickleball Apes is a company that was established in 2023. And they helped popularize Kevlar as a surface type in the industry. Best known for their Pro Line Energy series, they are now dipping their toes into Gen 3 paddle technology. The new Pulse line has a lot to offer in terms of power that you can control. But before we jump into that, these videos do take a good amount of time and effort. It would mean a lot to the growth of my channel and to myself if you could hit the subscribe button down below. Also, a quick disclaimer that these paddles were provided to me by Pickleball Apes, but no money exchanged hands. All thoughts are my own, and Pickleball Apes has not seen this review before it was posted. With that out of the way, let's jump into some specs. The Pickleball Apes Pulse series comes in at 16.5 millimeters. The Pulse comes in 3 shapes. I would classify the Pulses as power paddles. The Pulses are a Gen 3 paddle, meaning it is thermoformed with a widened foam walls around the perimeter. These paddles do have a floating core, meaning that the polypropylene core does not extend down to the handle, but instead it is completely surrounded by thick layers of edge foam. Pickleball Apes' goal was to have a more durable core that does not have what is commonly being referred to as a break-in period, which they have attempted to solve by adding carbon fiber strips over the foam. The thought being that this will reinforce the core by keeping the foam in place. But more on this in my final thoughts. Pickleball Apes offers the Pulse in their E shape, which is their elongated shape, their S shape, which is their hybrid shape, and the V shape, which is their wide body shape. Quick note, the Pulse E is an ultra elongated paddle coming in at a whopping 17 inches, which is the same as their previous ultra elongated paddles like their Pro Line Energy line. The grip length of the Pulse E is 6.25 inches. The grip length of the S and V shapes is 5.5 inches. The surface type is a mixed weave of Kevlar and nylon fibers. The swing weight of the Pulse V is 113. The swing weight of the Pulse S is 114, and the swing weight of the Pulse E is 129. The twist weight on the Pulse V is 7.42, the twist weight on the Pulse S is 6.28, and the twist weight on the Pulse E is 5.92. The retail price of these paddles is $199, but with code JJPB, the price does come down to $180. Pickleball Apes has spent a lot of time on R&D for these new paddles, and it has really paid off. These paddles are some of my favorites this year, and I particularly enjoyed the S model. These paddles have a very similar feel out of the box to a standard raw Kevlar faced paddle. But with the more games you play, the more these paddles begin to soften up and feel a bit more plush. The extra foam around the perimeter make these paddles very forgiving, especially on the Pulse V shape. Another thing that stands out on these paddles is their vibration dampening. This certainly will feel better to those who suffer from tennis elbow. As I have mentioned on this channel, I really love elongated paddles, and I have messed around with the original Pro Line Energy E-shape in the past. So I did have some familiarity with the ultra elongated paddle, and I personally really enjoyed the extra reach and didn't mind the narrower sweet spot. I think the ultra elongated shape is great for singles and anyone who tends to hit the ball higher on the face. But the narrow sweet spot will not be for everybody. The Pulse S is what I think will be the favorite for majority of players out there, especially if you like hybrid shapes. The Pulse S has a much lower swing weight than the Pulse E, but it still delivers on pretty decent reach and much faster hands. Lastly, the Pulse V has a massive sweet spot, and pairing that with the power of the Pulse line, this will be a very deadly weapon if you are a fan of wide body paddles. In my playtesting, I thoroughly enjoyed the feel of these paddles. Pickleball Apes nailed it with the added foam layer, the touch, and the feedback that these paddles provide. The spin test range for these paddles during my testing was between 2,110 RPMs and 2,150 RPMs between the 3 lines. This was certainly prevalent on my drives and on my slice shots. These paddles were able to provide my serves with great power and bend, and my dinks with very good touch. And with the longer handles, my two-handed dinks felt very natural. There's just something about these paddles that feels so comfortable to me, and I especially love the feel off the face on my drives, as these paddles really feel like they pocket the ball well. As I mentioned in my specs, I would classify these as power paddles. They start off as all-court leaning power, but after some deep play testing, these paddles do have a slight break-in period, which I did mention in the intro was something they were trying to avoid. But with this slight break-in period, this does push these paddles over the edge into the lower end of power paddles. This is likely due to the foam in the core and not the core itself becoming compromised, but that is just my speculation after my experience with foam cores as of late, and more specifically what I've seen from the rhombus ripple. Overall, these paddles are a winner in my mind, and if these paddles came in a standard elongated shape, it would likely be my favorite paddle of the year so far. I still am very much enjoying my time with the Pulse S as my favorite of this grouping. These paddles offer controllable power with a plush feel and amazing spin. If you have been looking for a power paddle similar to the Paddle Techs but just with a better sweet spot, and you like the shapes that Pickleball Apes offers, I can't recommend these paddles enough. Also, if you're a fan of wide bodies, then the Pulse V is one of the best options on the market in my opinion. If you have played with Pickleball Apes paddles before, let me know what your experience was like. If you have bought the new Pulses, I would love to hear your thoughts down below. And other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.